Okay, so hi everybody. In today's live stream, we're going to be going through Darwin. So property has been going somewhat nuts over the last, I'd say, 3 to 6 months in Darwin, and it's a combination of a few things: a few infrastructure projects, a few investors chasing higher rental yields, and a few other bits and pieces. But I'm going to be walking through the Darwin market for the next little bit. Bear with me as I share my screen. Okay, let's rock and roll. So, why is Darwin property booming? Before we get into any specifics, this is my advice disclaimer. None of this is specific. It's all general in nature. It does not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. The content is just based on market conditions, factual information that you can find most anywhere on the internet. And if you are specific financial advice, I strongly recommend that you speak to a financial planner, an accountant, a mortgage broker, or a legal professional. If you are somebody in that field, I'm more than happy to recommend you somebody. So look over the last 3 months in the Darwin area. You can see there that it's the standout performer in terms of all capital cities. It is, in terms of areas, it's only beaten by regional South Australia there in the 3 months to April 2025. I think May's data should come out any day now, but in the 3 months to April 2025, Darwin is the standout performer there. If we have a look over the last 12 months, Darwin hasn't had the greatest of performance, and original Northern Territory is also down 5%. So you can see that in terms of the capital growth, it's fairly recent in terms of how it's been growing. If we look at the areas of Darwin, the growth is concentrated around the Palmerston area. So you can see there more than a 6% return in the home value index over the last 3 month period in some of those areas there, and a 3 to 6% return in that Palmerston City LGA area there. Some of the other areas around Nightcliff and Lee Point have also had a 6% return, albeit some of the areas are fairly meager in terms of their return lately. If we have a look at a 12-month basis here, it's a 12% return for some parts of, or one specific area of Palmerston. Aside from that, it's relatively consistent of the 6 to 12 month there. And then a bit of a mixed performance here, roughly 12% or more for Lee Point, 6 to 12 for some of the surrounding suburbs. And then Nightcliff and Karama are anywhere between 0 and 6%, with some decline in the other areas there around Darwin Central. If we have a look at the gross rental yield in Darwin, it has risen over the last few years. So for units predominantly, you're looking at a rental yield of anywhere between the sort of 6.5% and maybe 7.5% there. So it's relatively higher in general. And then for houses, you can see upwards of 5 to 5.5%, albeit as we've seen capital growth, the rental yield has come down. So often there is a lag between rental yield and capital growth. As house prices come up, rental yields typically stay the same, because you can't just increase the rent willy-nilly. You need to do it at certain lease agreement intervals and in line with state and territory legislation. So that being said, you can see that over the last few months, especially, rental yields have come down in comparison to capital growth prices. There are a number of infrastructure projects that are boosting the local economy in Darwin. There's the Civic and Stake Square precinct, which is an initiative looking to update the vibrancy of Darwin City and diversify the economy. There is a Gove Port Tourism Precinct project that is looking to increase tourism, a shiplifting facility for the state's maritime service industry, a marine industry park as well, and a mooring basin, update to the mooring basin, and then lastly, an update to the Territory Energy Link, which is looking at investing rather in the infrastructure corridor as part of a commitment to rebuild the Northern Territory economy. So a number of infrastructure projects which are lifting job vacancies, and in turn, it's providing a lift in the economy. If we have a look at some of the leading indicators here, you can see there that the number of properties listed on the market has come down over the last 10-year period. You can see there, especially at the beginning of COVID, there was a sharp decrease towards the end of 2020, end of 2019, beginning of 2020 there. And then as we came out of COVID, the supply has picked up. Over the last 6 months or so, you can see there's been another sharp drop in the number of property listings. Now, property is still taking a while to sell. You can see predominantly property still takes over 180 days. You can see the majority of properties there over 180 days. with I'm going to say half to maybe two-thirds of property there, anywhere between under 30 and 90 to 180 there. So a bit of a mixed bag. The biggest category there is over 180 days. So the average days on market is higher than your other capital cities, I'd say. Rental listings have drastically declined since COVID there as well. You can see there that since towards the end of 2021, you can see the number of rental listings has been consistently under 500 apart from the January peaks of every year. And the rentals predominantly take less than 30 days. So it's a vast difference to the sales listing. Rental listings are definitely less than 30 days and quick to be picked up there for the last 5 years now. And so the rental market looks fairly that's also seen in the vacancy rates as well. So similar story here, vacancy rates, you can see some peaks in the January periods, and predominantly the vacancy rate in this area is less than 1%. So that looks anywhere between 0.5 and say 0.8% there. As you can see, some of the troughs. At the moment, we're looking at about 0.7 to 0.8% vacancy rate there. In terms of the number of listings that are coming to market, Darwin has, again, the biggest change in new listings coming to market, in the biggest shortage of new listings at negative 27.3% there. The next highest is, or the next lowest rather, is the rest of Northern Territory or regional Northern Territory. So there's a vast difference in the number of new listings that are coming to market. In addition, the total number of listings in Darwin is down 32.5%. So the lowest amount, or the biggest drop rather, in listings year on year in total listings. So new listings and total listings are a big indication of supply on the market in Darwin, especially. This is a case study. So this property is sold in the suburb of Durack, which is in the Palmerston City local government area. It had a sold price of 600 grand, 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 3-car space. In this suburb, it has a median price point of 580. So we're close to the median there. Stamp duty and upfront costs, just using a generic upfront cost calculator, is 33 grand. 29 grand of that is stamp duty alone. And then the rental appraisal for this area based on the gross rental yield is 6%. So this works out to be 609 per week. Council rates, roughly 2 grand. Water rates, about $1,000. A landlord home and contents insurance premium, just based on a generic quote that I got off AMI, is about $27.50. Property management costs, I'm going to assume, is 8.8% there, based on the standard figure nationwide I've been finding. Based on an 80% LVR, interest-only loan repayments will be $2,400 per month at a 6% interest rate. So all in all, based on those assumptions, assuming deposit and upfront cost of $153, you've got your upfront cost calculator of upfront cost amount of $33,000. And then a 20% deposit, which would be 120,000. That's 153 grand. The ongoing costs of this property to maintain it, you're looking at just under 2 grand or $35 per week. So give up a coffee for a week, and you could own a property in Darwin for 153 grand up front. That's interest only as well. So look, everybody, that is the presentation as we see it for today. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on investing in Darwin. Otherwise, if you would like to know more about investing in property, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to be able to answer your questions. Thank you so much.